Sure, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn. Thank you for joining our very first webinar of 2021 brought to you by ASQ Innovation Division. The topic of tonight's webinar is automating creativity and building your own creativity innovation assistant like Alexa, Google Assist. Our speaker tonight, Mr. Sunil Kaushik, in this webinar will talk about how he built an AI-based innovation assistant that helps him generate hundreds of creative solutions for day-to-day business problems within seconds and how others can leverage it to solve complex problems. The end outcome is as simple as, hey AI, how do I reduce the inventory or improve processing speed at process step A? And the user will get hundreds of ideas specific to the process characteristics. It will include multiple success stories and offer access to a free innovation assistant app. The learning objectives are understand the machine-enabled innovation framework, understand how creativity can be automated, learn to define business problems, objectives, and strategies that can be understood by machines, and information to enable you to design your own creativity assistant. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be available on ASQ Innovation Division YouTube channel. Also, there will be 5 to 10 minute time after the presentation for questions and answers. You can post your questions in the Q&A section of the WebEx. So tonight, our speaker is Mr. Sunil Kaushik. Thank you so much, Sunil, for accepting to be our speaker today. This is morning time for you. Sunil Kaushik is a TEDx speaker, author of Business Innovation and Transformation Using Trees, innovator of Athena, a generative AI speaker at the ASQ World Quality Conference, guest faculty in some of the universities in Europe, ASQ's influential voice of quality, touring cyclist, traveled from Thailand, Portugal, aspiring digital nomad, and obsessed with automating creativity. He has published numerous white papers and articles on trees, innovation, and project management with renowned journals, featured multiple times on ASQ TV, Quality Progress, Times of India, News Minute, The Hindu, Indian Express, and other media. Again, thank you so much, Sunil, for accepting to be our speaker tonight. I would like to turn it over to you. Please take it away.
Thanks a lot, Dawn, and joining giving me the opportunity to share something that I'm passionate about and very close to my heart, automating. I love telling stories. So let me tell you how this entire journey, or what we call as the need is the mother of all innovations, how this project of mine began. So as Dan was talking about, so in 2016, me and my wife, we decided to cycle from Thailand to Portugal. And one of the projects that I took along this journey was to do as many projects or process improvement consulting assignments through my journey. But there was one constraint. That is, in most of the countries, in the cities that we used to travel, maximum I had 2 days per city due to the visa limitations and other restrictions. So the need was very straightforward. How can I deliver value to the customers or the clients I'm consulting in 2 days? And that is when I got introduced to Triz, and I deep dive and understood that, okay, the basic philosophy of Triz is, but someone somewhere has already solved a similar problem that you're trying to solve. So if you can take solutions that they have used and try to tailor it to your requirements, your problem gets solved. Using this one, we did numerous projects and numerous consulting assignments and really able to deliver value in 2 days to most of the projects that we took out. Now, post this journey or completion, the next aspiring goal or to raise the bar high was, how can I deliver value in an hour? So this is when I thought that, okay, this is where we have to leverage machine learning, AI, robotics, etc., and see how I can deliver the value. But more importantly, for me to do this, I need to understand how the process of creativity works. This is a very, very uber level, simple process flow of how the brain thinks. The main part of the brain, which we call as the frontal lobe, is responsible for generating creative ideas, whereas the other parts of the brain are related to memory, physical movements, etc., contextual recognition, etc. But it is this frontal lobe that really generates creative ideas. Now, how does it work? For example, for a brain to be creative, the first thing that is required is a goal clarity. That is, what exactly are you trying to achieve? So the more blurrier the role, the more blurrier the goal, then even the process of creativity, there's a lot of noise in the process, and that stops or acts like a hurdle in the creative process. The second one is the search for experiences. The more past experiences you have, the more creative you are. The next one is the actual process of the brain, where the health of the brain and other parameters play a key role, which talks about how good is your brain or the lobe in identifying the relationship between the elements of your past experiences. Once it identifies the relationship, then comes the next step. It tries to find the combinations of your past experiences and the relationship it has identified, and these combinations generate ideas. And now, once an idea is generated, then the brain goes back and evaluates the idea. Then innovation comes to it. The idea is really good. Now, if you see the red lines coming here, these are the noises. I just to minimize the space and make the slide look beautiful, I minimize the number of noise nodes, but there could be noises coming from all over. When I'm thinking of the goal clarity, immediately I start thinking about the experiences I had in the past, and maybe I can drop my goal. That could be one form of noise. Or when I have the goal clarity, at the same time, I can start thinking about the relationships I have between the search experiences, etc. That could be a crossover with my goal clarity, and that can stop my creative process. So there are numerous combinations in which noise can arise, which stops my creative process. Now, the question I had was, okay, now I have identified this is the process. In this process, where all can I use or leverage machines that can help me assist my creative process? And the answer was this. Do I want a machine to decide what my goal is? Just imagine which experience would you prefer, like Alexa or Google Assist, taking your inputs, like me saying, Alexa, can you, I'm sorry, actually really, Alexa started responding, saying that, hey Alexa, wake me up at 5 a.m. Or do you prefer Alexa coming and telling you that, hey, you know what, I'm going to wake you up at 7 a.m. It's a former, right? You want to take the control. So the goal clarity should be in our control, where we tell the machine, hey, this is what I'm planning to achieve and I need your help. Now, search experiences, the past experiences, it's kind of a debatable, controversial topic. Like, do we want a brain to look into past experiences and bring out the results, or can we leverage a machine, let a machine do that? Similarly, in finding relationships, the question is as simple as, I love solving mathematical problems, but do I prefer to use my brain to solve complex mathematical problems all the time for my work assignments, or do I prefer to use a calculator? So, like for joy, yes, we can. That's why we do Sudoku and solve other creative puzzles. But when we are trying to solve something more urgent, complex, impactful, it is good to leverage machines. So these are a couple of areas where we could leverage machines. And the final place where I want a say and not machine to take a decision is evaluating the idea. I want to tell the machine that, hey, this idea is good, this idea is bad. And at the same time, on the left-hand side, you see that collecting new experiences. I want the machine to say, hey, you know what, this is a fantastic experience, or this is an amazing innovation. Add it into my experience bucket. Or this is not a great idea, do not add it. So these are the real areas where we humans, with our emotions and our relationship with our day-to-day interactions with other environments, decide what is good and bad for us, which a machine can't take a call. And other places has a huge role to play, and it can be a fantastic uh, process integration by working together with machines to come up with some really cool, innovative ideas. Now, with this end-to-end process flow, if I want to say how my experience would look like in future, I will say, hey, I want to reduce my operating costs, or I want to reduce the turnaround time. I want to maybe reduce the inventory in a particular process. Tell me what are the options I have. And the app gives me or maybe let's say hundreds of ideas in a well-tailored, segmented manner tailored to my process, based on which I can say, hey, you know what, I like this idea. No, I don't like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. And these ideas come into my bucket and sit as a package. Exactly like I wanted this process
Hello,
to
Sunny.
be as simple as going to a
We
website.
lost you for a minute, I guess. So we have some sort
Oh,
of
I'm sorry.
yeah, some of the audience are telling me that they have problems hearing you smoothly, like they have a voice, like a scratchy voice and everything. So I don't know. Sorry to interrupt
Oh,
you.
oh, no problem. Maybe uh, in that case, maybe I'll just stop my video. I'm not sure if it's a bandwidth issue. So, and I'll just, yeah, just a moment. Oops, sorry. Uh, uh, is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear. And we can see
Sure.
you.
Sorry. Maybe let me just take myself a couple of seconds back and repeat what I was saying. Similar to any online portal like Amazon, etc. But the only thing we are doing is we are saying what we need to the portal, and it comes up with a huge shopping list, and we say that, hey, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this works for me. So this is the experience that I wanted to generate, and fine. Now, how this is the end goal of what we wanted to generate. Now, how I generated it was, uh, let me, if we have a problem in our organization, what is the process that we use? Let's take a simple brainstorming exercise. We have a team, uh, of people with different experiences, facts, knowledge, uh, uh, numerous factors, emotions, etc., who come into the room to take a key decision or action on a particular, let's say, a KPI that they want to improve, right? Now, what contributes to these decisions and actions are the past experiences of each of these individuals put together, right? And these experiences, just to reiterate, could be facts, knowledge, etc., emotions, etc. Now, uh, now what my goal is, or what I had to do was convert these exact facts, past experiences, into something that can be understandable by a machine. So that is when I thought about, in Chris we call something as a 9 windows, but I extrapolated to convert it into a statistical binary language. The way it was done was, let's take any innovation. What happens or any change that you deploy to any process, there are only a couple of things that you do. One, you change something in time, or you change something in space, what I mean by a space is, let's say I have a component, I have a product A. All the subcomponents within that product A are something that is arranged in space, right? I can go deeper and deeper in space to a component, and the element level, much deeper. That is what I mean by space. Or I can go in time. So what I mean is I unbox it, then I use the product, and then finally the life of the product ends. So this is time. So in space and time, I change something. For example, let's consider there is an object, the red object or the red circle that you see here. If I want to come up with an innovation, or if I take any previous innovation as well in the past, what I would do is if I change in space or time, a new innovation is born. For example, let's take the simplest lean to implement pull system or Kanban. So what I'm doing is I'm going back in time. So there are a couple of options or a couple of options through which I can actually make some changes to space and time and innovate something new. I identified close to 73 parameters. That could be more, and it is a discovery. 73 parameters that can change in space and time that would give rise to a new innovation. For example, I can change the space, I can change time, I can add a new object into the environment. I can add force, I can change color, I can charge the object if I want, etc. And out of the 73 parameters that's been formed, if I kind of mark whatever I'm changing as 1 and whatever I'm not changing as 0, I get a 73-digit number. Now, that is my output. And here is a very short example of, let's say, 110110 based on whatever changes I made, and this is my output. Now, during my journey, what I had done was, as my goal was to solve a problem in 2 days, I started collecting numerous innovations, thousands of innovations in my kitty that I could use, and started tagging them again based on some principle and logic. I used the same set of innovations and started using the same technique based on whatever parameters changed. I started tagging them to, okay, if this particular change is done in, let's say, space, time, action, etc., what KPIs does it improve? Okay, maybe this particular change used to improve my revenue. This particular change used to reduce my non-value added cost, or reduce my operating cost, etc. So there are these numerous permutations and combinations of these changes with these 73 parameters that can be used to control or implement changes to some of my KPIs. So this is at a high level how this entire creativity process works. So the key takeaway, I'm sure there is a lot of algorithm into it, but in short, the key takeaway, if you want to build your own innovating assistant, simple, start identifying some of the key parameters in space and time that is changing. You can start with a simple lean tools, let's say mistake proofing or Kanban or implementing full systems. Then you can slowly move on to more complicated ones and see what is changing in space and time, which is nothing but specific parameters. And based on these parameter changes, you will come up with an output. And based on that, you can say that, okay, I know that implement full is going to reduce my inventory, or same with the Kanban or the just in time. So this is a simple process that, at a high level, you can understand. But now let's go to the fun part of this session. Let's get our hands dirty and see how this particular algorithm can be used to solve some of the problems that that's identified. So in the chat window, I have put a link. So if you can just go and click on this link, you will come to this page. Let me know if everyone is able to log in. Like a simple yes will do.
They're saying that they do not see the link in the chat window.
Oh, okay. Oh, let me repost it. Okay, let me repost it to all participants. Or should I say all attendees? Sorry.
All participants.
All participants, okay. Okay. How about now?
Yes, we've got one yes.
Okay, fantastic. The username is Innovator and the password is Athena. Login. Yeah. No. In the next screen, just to keep it simple, I have come up with some readily available two projects. One is customer journey and another one is order to cash. Let's do the project name without any spaces. Please give your first name and the last name. Something like what I have done here. Okay, and then in the second drop-down box, choose order to cash. And say create. Is everyone with me so far?
Yes, they are.
Okay, fantastic. Great, super. So, there might be numerous fields here. Just ignore all of them. What I've done is I've created a simple standard process for the order to cash lifecycle. Like once right from the time an order is placed till the time we receive cash from the customer. So numerous processes within it, right? I think if I'm not wrong, there are close to 36 processes here. And let's say establish and update pricing and promotion pricing rules, establish, update customer information. Order to cash is just an example here, and it can be any process. Now, if you look at it, this x-axis is my time, how the process is flowing over time. Now, as an organization, I can have a strategy for my entire order to cash process. Let's say I want to increase the speed. This is my strategy. I want to increase the speed of my overall order to cash process. So I go and I say speed and select my strategy as speed. Now, let's say the director of order to cash says that increase the speed of end-to-end order to cash process. Now, let me say that I am a process owner who's responsible for pricing, right? The first process step. That says establish and update pricing and promotional pricing tables and rules, which is one of my key activities. I would say that, hey, for me to increase speed, what is stopping me from increasing that is, let's say, let me try to select, my process is too complex. I want to simplify it. There are numerous different, KPIs or the business problems mentioned here, the commonly available ones for a business in any industry, most of the industries. So let me say, or I can say, as it is more transaction driven, let me say processing ease. So I will select processing ease here, right? And I will select. Fine. So please ignore whatever you see on the top, those are bugs. Now, if you can see here, with my organization strategy is to improve speed. And as a process owner, what is stopping me is the processing ease that you can see here. Now, I have given the problem, which is going back to my deck on the creativity, this one slide. I have given the goal clarity. This is something that I have chosen as a human. What is my goal? And what the machine did now was it went searched the experiences, found relationships, and created combinations. Now, for me to evaluate an idea, what do I need? See, as a machine, it can even come up with 1,000 or 10,000 ideas. It's going to make it extremely complex and it's going to create a very bad experience for me if I had to go through 10,000 ideas and had to pick one. So the way I modeled it was, okay, what am I going to do with these ideas? I'm going to make some changes to my process. And what changes do I make? I can make changes to people, or I can make changes to a process, or I can make changes to a technology, right? So the ideas that was generated by the tool has been broken into these three segments. Now let's say people. Under people, I can improve my processing ease by, let's say, what are my levers? That is the question I need to ask. Okay, what are changes? Can I change something with my employees? Let's see, yes, maybe yes. And what can I change? What changes can I bring in from my employee side? Let's say, for example, motivation. Okay, give your employees purpose and help them understand how they fit into a bigger picture, right? So this is something, could be an idea. Now, the question you need to ask here is this something that I'm doing now? Not, is this going to solve my problem yet? Because the way the tool has been designed, these are all the solutions that was implemented in the past by someone else to solve a similar problem. What it means is this solution alone may or may not solve your problem, but combination of this with many things else will solve your problem. So for now, just be open-minded, totally open-minded, and say that, do I have this process within my organization? Let's say, assuming I don't, I just go and say accept it, right? Next, let me minimize this and let me go to the skill part. I don't see anything in skill here. Let's say authenticity. That is, how authentic can my employees be and how do I improve? Developing consistent uniqueness yourself onto your work. Let's say yes to this as well. Let's go to the process side, which will be more interesting. So within process, I can, I again have a lot of levers. I can say the human side of the process, which, for example, here we have knowledge management, which is the key for any process streamlining. So did we write the knowledge articles in the customer's language? Or this is something, let's say I accept it for now. And process enablers, there are lots. And on the interest of time, let me just try to lean. Right? If I go to within process, if I go to process design, I get lean. So, the first one is straightforward. Have you implemented just in time? Yes, let's say accept it. And then the second one is Hijunka, a form of production scheduling, which will ease my process, level loading my processes. Let's say I'll accept that as well. And then something with transformation and strategy. So, I can change my strategies, I can change see, these are some of the leadership levers I have, so I'll just keep accepting them. And the kind of the metrics that I'm measuring. So do I want to change and, measure a different metric related to any of these? So in short, these are some of the levers. There are a lot of levers that you can see within technology. What else can I have? Digital transformation. Using these levers, I'll start accepting the ideas and it will all come to, if you can go in the bottom, you see here, update innovation. So if you all can please click on that. Here you will see whatever ideas I accepted will come and fall into this bucket. I chose very few ideas just as it's a workshop, but in a real world scenario, there will be lots of ideas. Now, this is nothing but like your cart in your Amazon. Once you go to your cart, you see the solutions that has come into your bucket or ideas. Now, here the step is for me to, uh, taking one step back. What we did here was we chose only one process step for the entire strategy. Just imagine every other process owner responsible for these processes are going to be doing the same, right? And for a particular process, processing ease was just one of the blocker. Let's say there is another blocker that could be agility. My process is not agile enough for me to go and implement any changes. That will give rise to other ideas and solutions as well, right? I'm sorry. Okay, I don't see much here. Yeah, for example, leadership changes. Let me just go and accept some of the few. And once I start accepting, you will ideally, for an end-to-end value chain like order to cash, you will have numerous ideas, around thousands of ideas coming in here. And you can group or package those ideas by first one, by you have what goal you want to achieve at a process level and at the organization level. So what you will start doing is, as a first step, at a process owner level, what all changes do you want to bring in? So that becomes a responsibility of the process owner. Then second one is, what are the change levers I'm using? So let's say that across 10 processes, I have a couple of employee changes that I want to drive, or the employee driven solutions, which means that the driver or the change agent can be your organization's HR. So all the employee related changes can be given to a HR or anyone who is, or the learning and development director, who can include those into their planning or planning for the training curriculums and deploy that. Process designs can go to the process improvement or the Six Sigma leads, or it could be the operations manager. Similarly, for all transformation initiatives, it could be again your Six Sigma leader. So it can be packaged in different ways depending on how your organization works. And the next thing, or the most important thing that we have to do is, okay, the machine has given us ideas that was implemented for similar problems in the past. Now, you tailor it and come up with an action plan. Give your employee purpose and help them understand. So what is the purpose when someone is as simple as entering an order? Okay, my purpose is, if my order goes wrong, there is, let's say, $1,000, or it could be $100,000 worth product that might get shipped incorrectly, and that could lead to other damages or penalties. So this is the bigger purpose, and telling the employee that yes, you play a very big role here. This is on the motivation front, etc. So this is exactly what we would be doing when it comes to the action plans. Entering, each process owner will tailor it and enter the action plan for the actions that they would like to tailor and take for a particular solution. Package it, and the last part is prioritize. Okay, I have 1,000 ideas, and it's not going to be realistic for me to go and attack all those 1,000 ideas. I will start prioritizing, saying, okay, in Q1 or in month one, what are the ideas that I'm going to pick up and start deploying? So, in short, this is how the end-to-end creative process works. So, just a quick recap. What we did was just a moment. So, okay. So we told the machine what the problem was, and it came up with creative solutions. And using those solutions, as humans, we evaluated those ideas, we packaged it, and we are tailoring it to our need. And this is exactly how the project that I've been working on. And as you can see that if, let's say this is a 30-step process, and let's say we have 30 people in a workshop trying to improve their respective processes and aligning themselves to the organization strategy. It should not take more than 30 minutes to put all the ideas, and then maybe an answer or something, and then prioritization, etc., becomes a separate motion in itself. I will pause here for now to take questions maybe for the next 5 minutes on this entire setup, and then I'll tell you how the effectiveness can be measured and what are some of the measures of it. Oh, Arun, sorry, could you try?
There's some questions that have been posted. So the first one is, what's the source of the 73 approaches?
Okay, so it is purely based on the trial and errors and looking at other innovations. So for these 73 parameters, what I did was, let me just go back to that particular slide. So how I came up with the 73 is, for example, first I took the lean innovation tools, which I think there are close to, I went through around 50 lean innovation tools, and each of those innovation tools, I started saying, okay, what changes in space and time and the object? What are the parameters? I came up with the parameters. Then Six Sigma, then other innovation methodologies, then also looking at specific innovations within different environments, like it could be digital transformation or the new robotic process automation tools, etc. So it was purely a learning, and maybe I won't be surprised if this year it becomes 100 parameters as you start learning.
The next question is for those just starting out. What is the best practice to scope the problem?
Best practice to scope a problem. Uh, okay, I would maybe give an answer. The beauty of this is it says a problem is nothing but a contradiction. Exactly what we see here. That is, you try to improve something, but something else is stopping you from improving. The common example that I give is, let's take a policeman's vest, the bulletproof vest the policeman wears. If you look at it, it has to be really strong enough to take a hit of a bullet, and the policeman shouldn't get injured. Which means that the bulletproof vest has to be really heavy. But if the bulletproof vest is heavy, the policeman can't run, which is actually part of his day-to-day job to run faster. So the contradiction or the problem here is the bulletproof vest has to be light and heavy at the same time. So this is a contradiction. So always, a good problem will have what exactly do you want to improve and what is stopping you from improving at a different process level. Overall goal, and at a process level, what is the blocker? I think this makes a very good problem statement.
Thank you. The next question is, have you validated this approach with businesses or companies looking for this kind of input?
Absolutely, yes. So far, there are around 6 workshops that has been completed. And when I share some of the metrics, I see if I can show some of the numbers as well as to the number of ideas that were selected, etc. Yes, in short, whatever benefits that you get from a 3-day value stream mapping workshop, you get a similar benefit using this methodology, but it just happens over an hour or two. So that is how the benefit works, and rest all the ROI and the value add to non-value add realization, etc. It's all very much the same using this tool.
Yes, the next question is, what's the most complex challenge you have broken down using this tool, and what was the value and impact?
Sure. The most complex part of this problem solving was, ideas are all around us, right? Now, the first problem is capturing all the best business practices and ideas into one place. That I would still say is the problem, but still a lesser problem. The second most important problem is those ideas has to be classified by the system. For example, if you can see here, there are close to around, I think, if I'm not wrong, around 15 different business problems here and 15 different problems here. And if you can see 15 into 15 different combinations, for those for that maybe 1,000 odd combinations, the AI or the machine has to come and give you relevant ideas. The accuracy of those ideas should be relevant to get the proper experience. That was the hardest part.
Thank you. I think that was the last question.
Wonderful. Thanks. Very interesting questions. Thank you. Now, let me go and tell you, and just to come back to this topic. So what exactly happened here, if I want to put it in a nutshell, is we go to an organization. In any organization, if you get into a meeting room to solve a specific problem, going back to the same example, experiences and what happens here is there is a lot of noise that comes along. Like someone doesn't want to participate because he had a bad day, there is a bad emotion, someone doesn't like each other, the other person who is giving an idea and who wants to put him down, or maybe the amount of experience one person had is totally different from others. It's all a noise, which means that the more noise I have within the team, and I'm not just talking about the visible ones, there are a lot of invisible ones that go inside the brain, right? So based on all this, and there is a limitation as well. The best decision I can come out with is the best past experience that one of the team members had here. Based on all of this, as these decides the decision and the action that is going to be taken, the probability of success depends on each individual's past experience and the current experience that they are going through. So that is the whole dependency. But with this tool, what actually happened was the entire decision or action is based on the past experience of people who have actually solved a similar problem, who have actually improved a specific KPI, which means that the noise has been, I would say, 99% eliminated. Maybe I will give 1% benefit of doubt, and totally eliminated, which means that the success on any of these decisions and actions is going to be very, very, very high and authentic. Now, coming to the last part of how do I measure the success of this particular tool? Let's first see how creativity can be measured. Let's do a simple 1-minute exercise. Can everyone draw a circle? If you have a pen around you or on the paper, just draw a circle, and if you do not have, you can maybe close your eyes and visualize. Okay, so I hope that you all see a circle in front of you. Now, keeping the circle as your base, if you have a pen and a paper, please go ahead and draw. If not, visualize. How many different types of imaginations that you can come up with that circle? You can draw anything. It could be related to people or emojis or anything that you want to. And let's say I give you 30 seconds, starting now. Oh, 30 seconds up. Now, I'm sure each one of you must have come up with different patterns and based on your past experiences, the imaginations. And I'm sure most of it would be emojis with a smile, one with a crying face, etc. Now, a similar exercise was done by some of the professors around the world, and this is how the measurement of creativity works. Now, if you look at the circle, the first measure of creativity is the fluency. That is, how many different outputs or different ideas did I come out with? And if you look at the fluency, Anna definitely wins because she came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different images of using a simple circle by outcomes. So this is fluency. This is one way of measuring how many ideas did you come up with. The second one is the flexibility. If you look at it, Benji won here. The reason is all these are related to human face, right? But if you look at it, Benji, one is a face, one is a wheel, and another one is a ball. These three are totally unrelated, unique ideas, right? Whereas these are extrapolation of a one single idea. These are the sub-ideas underneath, whereas this one is totally unique, three different unique ideas. And Carol, nothing much because wheel and ball. Now, most unusual or original ideas. So what it means is nobody thought about this idea. It's something only this person thought about, a bomb and a balloon, right? These are definitely Daniel comes up, wins the most original idea award. And lastly, the Eric on how elaborate an idea was. Look at the granularity and the details that's been given to the face. Here with the hair, the beautiful eyes, and the smile. Then the second one with glasses. It's more detailed, right? So these are the 4 parameters, some of the 4 parameters through which creativity can be measured. So in short, fluency, if I want to relate it to my tool, fluency is how many responses did I come up with. Flexibility is how many types of responses, originality is the unusualness of those responses, and elaboration is how detailed was those responses or the solutions that were provided to the tool. Now, I have created a simple metric table here. Just a moment. For this simple we just did, if even you can go to the this one, it's the same link where instead of projects you can change it to metric.php, depending on the the number of ideas you have chosen, etc. You will see this as well. Fluency. So for the problem that we came up with, the tool came up with close to 504 ideas. Out of that 504, 31 were totally unique and 10 were really original. So, and what opportunity means is the tool had 504 ideas, but for a specific combination of the struct, the organization C and my process blocker, the tool came up with 47 ideas. Out of that 47, I chose 8 ideas, which is my utilization is 17%. And relevancy, because I didn't take it further by entering the actions and enter it. So this is something we didn't do. If not, it will show the relevancy. And in bottom, we have the ideas that it came up with different change levers like motivation, skill, lean, leadership, etc., financial measure. So this is the, how effective a creativity was for a particular problem or a set of problems that we defined. So as you can see, it is far, far, far efficient and effective than human brain. This is not the point here, because the purpose of this tool is not to compete with human brain, but the purpose of this tool is to see how useful it is as a human for me. So that is where the key metric of utilization and relevancy comes into picture. Utilization is totally under my control. That is, I got 47 ideas, out of which how many did I actually utilize? The more ideas that I add to my cart, the utilization goes up. Second key thing that is an opportunity for me is I had 36 processes. Those are my opportunities for me to improve, out of which actually how many process steps did I actually go and use? Maybe if I just chose here, as you can see here, I'm sorry, yeah, as you can see here, I have 36 processes to improve, out of which I just chose one process to, actually go and change, which means that I still have 35 opportunities left in my kitty to go ahead and improve the speed of the overall order to cash lifecycle. And yes, and based on these two, next comes the key thing, that is relevancy. How relevant are the ideas that came in? So once I submit the actions on each of these, even at this stage, I can go and delete or cancel an idea. The more I cancel, which means the ideas were not as relevant as I wanted it to be for this particular problem. So which means once the ideas gets less and less relevant, we go and add more ideas to the tank. That is the database which stores all those ideas in the backend. So using this one, I think it's a complete circle where as and when we see a new innovation, we add it to our database or tank, and the algorithm goes and classifies it, looking at, okay, how exactly this problem works or the solution works, so what all problem can it solve, and brings it to a particular problem, similar problems that we have. So if you actually look at a potential, every new innovation that gets added to the database, it can at least solve close to 2,000 or 3,000 problems. So then you know the power of innovation, right? For every successful innovation getting added, 2,000 problems get solved. It is like a huge exponential. So if I have 1,000 innovations in my bucket, it's like how many 100,000 problems it can solve by replicating it across similar environments. So yeah, this is, so I'll pause here on the creativity front and see if there are any questions. Any questions, Dawn, from the participants?
No, there isn't any questions. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now going to the last part, we can also go and I'm not used to WebEx, so let me see how I can. This one. Okay, never mind. Sure. So let me give another example. Let me go and change my project. If I go to, let's say, customer journey, I select the project here. Sorry.
Tony, sorry to interrupt. There is one question that has 4 steps. So what can be done to overcome problem faced during process?
Sorry. Yeah. What can be done
to overcome the problem faced during the process?
The problem
during the process.
Okay. Can you? Which particular can you be more elaborate? I'll definitely take that question. So if you can just elaborate it on like this particular process we are trying to. Okay, while the question gets answered, maybe I can go to we have a lot of projects that are created here. Let's try to pick one here. Okay, some premium. Okay, no problem. So what I wanted to say next was, as we saw this in the order to cash example, uh, this process was on a very linear time scale, which means you have an end-to-end process that starts and stops and flows evenly on the time. That maybe in the next workshop or sometime I can post it somewhere. There can be problems on a more deeper state level. That is, for example, the customer journey, which is you have the overall of a customer that gets delivered, and it has more deeper and deeper sense, which is space. Take, for example, a simple product like a cell phone. So if you look at the cell phone, yes, if I'm talking about time, it means that okay, I the switch, I use the cell phone and the way I use it, I charge it, then I start using it, I take calls, I disconnect, and I input it. So let's say this is the 4-step process. Now, within each of these processes, if I go deeper in the experience, for example, how convenient it is for me to charge a phone. So that goes deeper and deeper in space. In that case, what happens is I start improving more at a space level, which also can be done in this tool. And there were a couple of workshops that we did for that kind of a journey, where right from the time that it was purely customer experience improvement, where the overall end-to-end life cycle was not a problem, but how deep a particular experience is or the product goes was a problem. So even in such cases, let's say there is an overall strategy for one particular process step, and at every deeper level or every component level, we start calling out the problems and try to solve it. So that's exactly how it works. Fine. So this was the last point that I wanted to say, and so thank you. And now I'll open up for Q&A or any questions, and you can always drop me an email, and I'll just put my email ID here if you want to collaborate, or if we have any workshops to be conducted on a similar for your organization or in any other platform.
Thank you very much, Tony, for your presentation. You can post your questions in the chat or in the Q&A section of the WebEx. I think for the previous question, we had some explanation. So the question was, what can be done to overcome the problem faced during the process of getting action steps, for example, implementation for various processes.
Okay, so here usually, I'm sorry, I think I closed it. I think I closed that one, if not. So the process for the action is very simple. Once you have a solution, the action has to be very specific or smart. What are the 3 or 4 steps that I'm going to take, who is going to take, and when we are going to take? That is at every solution level. And if you look at the overall process or at the the backlog level, when I say backlog, it means there are like close to 100 or 200 ideas. So that is where the prioritization comes, and it purely depends on the problem that we are trying to solve and based on the organization's goal and how the entire project management practice works. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. The next question is, how does your system address risk, including enterprise risk associated with the idea?
Sorry, could you? I just missed part of it, Don. Can you repeat it?
Yes, sure. How does your system address the risk, including enterprise risk associated with the idea?
Of course, there is definitely a risk assessment as well to be considered. For example, if you look at two parts to it, one is if you want to reduce a risk itself, that there is a business this one impact that you can choose. Like my strategy can be to reduce the risk on the overall operations, and, and you can at a process level you can start highlighting how what all are causing you those risks or what are the blockers for those risks. Second one is while implementing these solutions, you definitely need to have a risk management as well as part of the project management practice while implementing those ideas.
Thank you. The next question is to what extent you use this tool to solve for culture challenges?
I think culture challenge for any change agent, right? As you know, we are all part of the ACE community. I think we are all change agents in one way or the other. And the biggest challenge we face is the organization's resistance. And if you actually look at it, at what phase do you get maximum resistance is during the phase. The noise and that let's say your process is saying that, hey, you know, and that is resistance, right? This is one example of it. Using this tool, I'm sure you all would have experienced in the past decade, we have more empathy towards machines than human beings. If a machine is giving us an idea saying, hey, you know what, this is what the industries and everyone is deploying, we have more empathy and we accept it wholeheartedly than if it is coming through a fellow human being. So I think culturally the biggest, if you ask me what does this tool do, it delivers change much faster. And what is the biggest blocker for change is the resistance, and this tool easily takes off the resistance from it. So it is one of the key deliverables. So I think it has a very positive impact on the culture.
Thank you. And the next question is, can you please summarize key takeaways from the session in a succinct manner? Looks like a lot of upfront work was done to set up the parameters or variables that led to quick working sessions later.
Sure. So quick summary of the takeaways are, number one, any innovation is nothing but a change in space and time, or modifying a particular object in space and time. And the could be a thought, could be a process, could be etc. So that is about it in a very, very simplified manner. Now, by capturing, okay, how these changes work, we can actually go and map it in a machine-readable format based on the changes that happens, as we can see in this particular slide. And for each change, we can map it to a particular KPI that it improves. By mapping these two together, we have a huge series of innovations that can be deployed in different environments. And the last takeaway would be the three change levers are people, process, and technology. And by integrating a tool like this, which is an innovation advisor, along with the change levers that we have, makes innovation much, much faster.
Thank you very much, Tanya. I think that was the last question. And again, thank you so much, Tanya, for your presentation. And I should remind everyone that you can find the recording of this webinar on ASQ Innovation Division YouTube channel. So we can conclude our webinar event of tonight. Yes.
Yeah, thank you all for joining and giving me this opportunity and listening to me patiently, and for the wonderful questions that you all asked. And yeah, if please let's collaborate if you are interested. And thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you all again for joining this webinar, and have a good evening.